Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what time is it? Dying time! I can't hear you! Dying time! I can't hear you! Dying time is here! That is right, dying time has come once again, and we have the dead. How appropriate. It is in the Undead Stadium, so it is definitely dying time. This is Nurgle's Leftovers, the Undead in the Emagon Stadium, and they will be up against the Seattle Slither. This should be, well, I was about to say this is going to be an interesting game, but let's face it, it's probably not, being that you have the undefeated Undead versus the very defeated Seattle Slither. This might end up being kind of a run-over with the Undead just slaughtering them. But, you know, this is Blood Bowl. Strange things have occurred, and or stranger things have occurred. So we shall see. We are going to start out with the Seattle Slither having the ball, so that is always good. In Blood Bowl, it is always good to have the ball first, because you don't know who's going to be alive by the second game. And in fact, oftentimes, the Undead team in this series has been fed by the dead of the opposing teams. So they actually only get stronger as the game goes along. So Seattle Slither really has one opportunity in this, and that is to get a touchdown in this first half. And the Undead seem a little undecisive because of the fact that they're taking a while to get themselves set up, but at last they are. Seattle Slither is going to put themselves on a strong line in the center with some of their toughest guys. Sort of weak on the flanks with just a couple of the tough guys, but they're going to have and we have Patches here to help us. Cheering fans, the team inspired by the cheering fans, Seattle Slither get an extra team reroll. They're going to need this. Like I say, you have what is considered the best team in this league up against, actually not what's considered the worst. What is considered the worst technically has been the Sewer Water Sallies, even though actually you, Seattle Slither, oh boy, and there we go. That is why Seattle Slither has been struggling this entire season and last season. Rolls like that. On their second roll, one of their linemen has gone down. Now, you can see, there isn't quite a gap in there, so the Undead can't get through yet. They're going to have to push their way through, which they immediately set upon doing. The mummy is going to knock one of them down. And here comes the other mummy, and it's only going to knock them back, so they still don't have a gap over there. They have no gap to get through. Okay, and then here we go. The skeleton's going to come through, and he's going to get he's got block. I was going to say, he got the same thing. They're both going to go down, but somehow a skeleton has block. That is Quintus Morrowblade. I do not think skeletons normally have that. Oh, but here comes, their Karen Grinder is stunned. He tried to slip through. There was no gap. They never quite got a full gap there, so he got stopped, and so it goes back to Seattle Slither. Might actually have a chance here. He is going to pick it up. He is, of course, once again with the Seattle Slither bad luck. Alright, they finally get the ball, but they have used up their new reroll and one of their original team rerolls already. Alright, they're going to push through the line. He has a frenzy, but he doesn't need to use it. And they're going to set themselves up for a box. However, there is a little bit of a gap there. I guess at this point, though, there's no way for the Undead to get through, so they don't have to be too worried about having the perfect box in place. They're going to keep on pushing the line back. Somehow got stuck on the cards there. And they're going to put themselves in a strong box. Now, of course, they are centered in this one little area, so the Undead are going to be able to sort of envelop. Well, I guess they have a little bit of a line here. However, this is about the right thing for the Seattle Slither to do, for Lizardmen to do. Once again, that skeleton, and Coldpeck has been injured. No long-term effect, but he is injured the rest of this game. Let's see about those skeletons, though. I don't think they do not normally have block. It's just this one, Quintus Morrowblade. That is one of the star players of the Undead. Oh, and bad luck. Oh, it is once again Seattle Slither. The first thing they roll is a skeleton, or is a skull, which the skeletons like to see, because it's one of them, but they got a reroll. I believe that was their last reroll. They have already used up all of their rerolls, while the Undead still have 4. So you can see they are starting to do pretty well knocking through, but you're not going to see any more rerolls. They're going to have to deal with what they get from now on, and they usually get pretty bad. However, they're doing pretty good right now. They are knocking through. So you can see them slowly moving forward with all of their Sauruses. And they kind of moved a little bit to the side there. Oh, of course, and the big Kroxagor doesn't get to move. But just to get out their anger, that is one thing about the... oh, Tutmos the Embalmed is dead! Oh my goodness, Tutmos the Embalmed, he was one of their better players, having several skills. He was at 2nd level. That is one of the star players, Tutmos the Embalmed. Gone, but not forgotten. That's one of their mummies. That is a big blow to the Undead, specifically to this Nurgle's Leftovers team. I mean, any Undead losing their mummy is bad, but this was specifically the mummy, I believe, that they've been working... Well, I guess both of their mummies have been going up. What the heck? Patches just attacked me. I guess she's getting in the mood for Blood Bowl. She's like, I want to be part of this. Alright, so the Undead did not do much with their turn. They kind of got themselves in the way of the Lizardmen. Lizardmen going to start pushing through. You know, sometimes when you put yourself in the way of a whole bunch of dinosaurs and Lizardmen, you're just a speed bump. Not here, though. This is going to be interesting. We're going up against the mummy, and of course, they roll the skull, and it just reflects back onto them. Ending Seattle Slither turn. And now there's a gap to the ball carrier. Well, no, I guess you still have this one here. He's going to knock that Saurus out of the way. But of course, they had some momentum going. They went after the only remaining mummy, and of course, they only 1 out of 6 chance to get the skull, and that's what they got. But there was what's it called? What it was called? Ghouls. One of the ghouls was trying to go by and fell. Now he got tripped up, and that ended their turn. They didn't use their reroll. I don't know exactly what the Undead are saving their saving throws for. This really would have been the place to stop them. And of course, you get a turnover from another bad roll. I didn't even see it. I was kind of looking at what happened before, from the last turnover. But it's a little bit of both sides just kind of slipping and falling. Maybe it is a slick field. There's probably a lot of blood down there. And here comes the mummy. Gonna walk through, take out the Saurus, make a gap that's open to the ball player there. Yeah, and that is really their best players, when they have the two mummies. Now, I think it's one of the things that has made Nurgle's Leftovers undefeated in these games, has been the fact they've had the two mummies and they're just so incredibly powerful. But here now you only have the one, so maybe that'll work against them. But again, you do have a team that is undefeated against a team that has just had bad luck constantly, and we just saw it as well with their turnover once again. Now it comes back to Seattle Slither, and they are pushing forward just a little bit. They have not pushed forward for a while right now. It looks like, oh, they're sending over their skinks way over to the sides to guard against the ghouls. And now it is a smart idea, because the ghouls, especially this one, Corpse Splicer, have really been slipping in and doing the damage. So this is a play from a player who has been watching Nurgle's Leftovers and watching their strategies of knocking people down with their big players and then rushing their ghouls in to do some damage. So it was smart for him to then go and cover those ghouls. Those ghouls probably can knock over those skinks, but then they're using their play. In fact, that's exactly what they're doing. They're going to knock them down, but now they've used their play, and they're not going to be able to run in and get that ball carrier. So probably a pretty smart move on the part of the Seattle Slither. I mean, Seattle Slither's played well. They've just always had really... I mean, it's like the game has been against the coach, because they just constantly get bad rolls. So there, that ghoul's going to push him back, but just basically pushes him back into a box formation. And it does seem as though Nurgle's leftover coach, Dustoff, is having a little bit of trouble figuring out exactly what to do. Oh, and here comes one of the Lizardmen trying to slip by and simply gets kicked in the butt and knocked down. So once again, they lose their turn. Or, yeah, Seattle Slither lose the turn that they had. And now we're getting close to the end. They're only going to have one more turn left in this half. They're going to be knocking over some of their skinks. Or the Nurgle's leftovers are going to knock over some of their skinks. They're not going to have any time left to do much. They're not going to be able to get into the touchdown. It's now just a matter of who can beat up whom during the end of this. Goes for the blitz. That was one of the best plays to have the mummy go after one of their sources, trying to injure him, knocks him down, but doesn't really do much. And that's how you take care of a skink, you just kick him in the face. And that took away really their only chance of possibly a touchdown. I don't know how, yeah, the skink couldn't have even made it that far, but there was the one fear is when you have somebody who can dodge really well and can move pretty fast, getting them kind of into position to get a touchdown and, you know, stealing victory out of victory out of the jaws of defeat, or defeat out of the jaws of victory, I guess is the way that would be. Anyway, they are opening up a gap so the skink could run through here, but of course you do have the ghoul right there, and just no turn time for them to make a touchdown. They're going to send somebody forward, and they're going to run it as far as they can. Stunty, yes, he goes a long way, but not far enough. Still just a few yards away from a touchdown. And the ghoul is going to go over for a... Oh! And gets 2 skulls, uses up his last... uses up one of his rerolls to get the blitz. Knocks him almost to the touchdown. Actually, it almost works in Seattle Slither's favor. But, of course, he doesn't quite make it into there. And so now it's just a matter of beating one another up. Is there an injury right here? No. The mummy was going to try to injure somebody so he wouldn't come back for next half. Doesn't really do it. So now it's just a matter of people kicking each other around, looking for that lucky roll that might injure a player. And this is going about as expected. Once again, there's a familiar sight from the Undead. Oh, Ostix is stunned. Pretty much what we expected here. The undefeated team is sort of walking over the team that has had just bad luck this whole season. And last season, quite frankly. Gonna go for one more injury. I think that's their star skeleton, and that's it, no injury. They go into the locker room for the half. It is 0-0. That was the Lizardman drive. Now, there is the one thing. They did get a kill. There are no kills on the Lizardman side. And the Undead will be coming out of here, coming out of the locker room, one player short. And now you can see up on the top here, they have 2 rerolls on Seattle Slither sides, 4 on the Undead side, and on Nurgle's leftover side. And what else do they have here? Looks like they have a few other various and sundry things they really haven't been trying. We'll have to see if they try to use them this game, or this half. But now Seattle Slither has gotten themselves with heavy front, especially in the center, a little lighter on the sides. In fact, they have a gap right here that if the Undead give it to a ghoul, he might be able to exploit that and run through. They've not created that gap here. You see they put this skink here sort of not in place. He's just behind that, backing up that Saurus. And looks like Dustoff's Nurgle's leftovers are putting a very strong left. They're projecting that they are going to want to push through that left side. It's a high kick, so of course it works very much once again in the favor of Nurgle's leftovers. They're going to be, but it is their home stadium. Oh, he doesn't quite catch it though. Tries to catch it right there, but he is right by the ball. And goes for the knock, but gets 2 skulls, so they have to use a reroll already. Mummy starts off by knocking him down. It was a smart move for Seattle Slither to kick up, and there was that skeleton with the block skill again. to kick it over on this side, because it's very clear that the undead want to run it on the other side. So they are creating it, so creating a situation where it's going to take more time. Oh, but they can't pick it up, and so now it is over. The Nurgle's leftovers made a situation where they could push through the left side and make a run through there. Very strong on that side, but the cost was leaving it light on the right side where the ball is. It wouldn't have mattered had they picked up the ball and run over there. It would have taken a little more time, but not that much more. But now, since this has been, since they weren't able to pick up that ball, even after a high kick, even after they had moved into position, they were not able to pick it up. And so now, the Seattle Slither are running through to catch that, to get that ball. And here comes the skink. He goes, he picks it up. He is not able to keep it. He re-rolls. And he gets it! He has the ball! The Seattle Slither have the ball only a few yards from the touchdown. Inspired by this, their spirits built up. They are now going to knock over some of that team and then bring up some more skinks. Now they are right next to Thorgrim Vanquisher, who is a white. He is really powerful. I'm not quite sure why that lineman is moving back a little ways. But they're going to go ahead and match them along that line, which, again, I'm not quite sure what Seattle Slither is doing over here, but they're going to, I guess they're going to try to block any run that might come from that way, while they're going to bring over their skinks to try to push this ball through. All right, now the white is going to try to knock back the skink. He only knocks him back. He does not tackle him. And so now you have to see, this is a dangerous situation for Nurgle's leftovers, because you have a skink with the ball only, what is that, 14 yards from the touchdown. And here's the thing, you would think, well, they have a white there to protect him. Yes, the white is very strong, but the skink is, oh, there we go, we got Garkodkintel has a smashed ankle. He's not going to be in the rest of this game, and he's going to be injured for future ones. But anyway, so even though the white is very strong, these skinks are very agile, and so he's going to be able to slip out of there. However, they did bring the other white, so now not only will he have to slip out of the grasp of this white, but he's going to have to go to here, then jump out of that white's grasp. That was a good move by Nurgle's leftovers. Oh, and there we go. Now they're going to bring in, oh, they hadn't quite done their, that's right, they had not done their blitz yet, and the ghoul goes in and knocks over the skink. So not only were they going to have trouble getting there, but they no longer actually have the ball. So it does go to Seattle Slither's turn, so they're going to be able to knock them out. He's going to get revenge for that ghoul knocking down the ball carrier, but the body is in the way of the ball itself, so it is going to be difficult for them to get there. They're going to get some revenge by really knocking a lot of these guys down. And these two that were back there, I didn't know what they were doing. They are pushing, they're running through. That is Itzahoto and Goktal of Pahuxalaka. I don't know how to say it. Pahualaksa. All you Lizardmen aficionados out there can criticize me. Alright, he's getting up. He's got tripped. And he's got the ball. It's Itcha. Now has the ball. Stunned. He goes through. He gets a touchdown! For the first time, the Lizardmen are in the lead. That was a huge surprise. What a turnover. Oh, and he hits himself with the ball while trying to pick it up. Wow. Now that was a heck of a run. They were not able to get it during theirs, but they were able to pull the ball out of the grasp of the undead and run it into the end zone. It was a good thing they still had that re-roll there, because once again they had gotten a bad roll, but they made it up with a re-roll. They've used up their last re-roll. They're at 0. Undead has 3. If Nurgle's leftover, it isn't going to be Nurgle's leftovers ball now, and so they're going to have a drive. They have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turns. Oh, I guess it's obvious, from 11 to 16. It's about the easiest thing to count in the world. Anyway, so 6 turns to make it. The Seattle Slither is going to put up their line as strong as they can to stop that from happening, and hopefully come home with their first win, for their first ever win, and not only in this season, but in any of their seasons. They have only one in the rear. They have a strong center, a couple on their right or left. Of course, once again, they've left it kind of open here on their left or right. which was surprising that the Undead chose the other side to make their push through, because they, of course, have this extra gap here on the right. Alright, Seattle Slither gets an extra team reroll. This is exactly what they needed. Oh, but the ball goes out. Now, here's the thing. If they had put this ghoul right over... here. Well, they have him here. If they'd put him here and he got the ball, he'd be running, he'd be away from there. The Seattle Slither would not be able to get them. But they're... Okay, so now we go into the turn. They're going to knock back some of those linemen with the mummy. And they're going to... Okay, yeah, they're going to use up one of their rerolls. Because, of course, they got 2 bad results. And this particular zombie does not have block. Not like that skeleton. I think that's the one that's running right now. Quintus Marrowblade, yep, who has the block ability, and because he's been used so much, he's getting ready to level up. And now the ghoul's running into the guard. That's actually kind of interesting. I'm surprised that he did not run there. But then again, I guess if he had... I mean, there is a gap. He could have run there, but he couldn't have made it if he had been on the line of scrim, or if he had been on the center line. If he had been right here, he would have gone too far for them to catch up. But because he was back here, he probably would have made it about here somewhere. They would have caught him and knocked him out. So, Verigard post-mortem is KO'd. Alright, so the Sauruses are making their push through the center. We now have a blitz action coming up. He's going to knock around to the flank. He's not going to get it knocked down, but he's going to get into that box there. Got another one going up to the mummy there. I don't know if he's feeding himself his fodder or he's setting up for the next attack. Oh, well, he's going to get enough there to knock against them. And plus, they are stopping them. Let's take a look from the other side here. That is going to stop the run from continuing on. They're going to have to break through that line. They're making a pretty strong line. Whereas on the other side, you have the skinks going around the flank. Alright, so that the Nurgle's leftovers are going to have to push through there. Oh, they go after the big guy, knocking him back. Giving them a little bit of room, but don't knock him down. That they do knock down. Skeleton versus skink, yeah. Or zombie versus skink. Zombies may not be strong, but they're going to be tougher than a skink. Looks like they are not going to go for yardage this turn. It looks like they are creating a box, creating a defensive situation here. Defensive perimeter. Oh, and their ghoul's going to go for it. He's going to go a little... He knocked him back and is going to go forward. It looks like they're going to make a run to get a little further. Oh, they've created a wall there. Now the ghoul is going to run. Oh, he is going for it. He is going way out there. That is a good move. He can still get caught up by the skinks. However, skinks aren't going to really be very tough and able to get to him. So he might actually have a touchdown here. Plus, one of the skinks there is actually going to be blocked by the white. All right, then you've got one of them going into the position to help with the tackle, also blocking the way. You got the big guy. Oh, mighty blow. Tom Vigor is stunned. Not very vigorous right now, is he? And the Lizardmen at last are actually getting the kinds of rolls that they're wanting. And now we go, oh, one of the sources are actually able to catch up with them. And it's a double knockdown, but that is enough. Oh, it goes right into it goes right into the hands. Who is that? To the slimy paws of a skink of Slites. I think there's a type of beer with that. Oh, and here comes Ichaja is stunned. Here comes the response of the undead. And we're going to... Okay, one of the ghouls gets up. The other one goes in for a blitz. This is going to... Oh, he's not going to tackle him. He's just going to knock him back. So the skinks still have hold of that ball. They might get a touchdown. You might actually see 2 points. They go from no scores at all, no victories at all, to having a possible 2-0 victory. He has a long way to go. And the undead are running up there, or more like ambling up there. That's really what the undead do, to try to stop him. And that mummy is just slapping his way through. Has anybody else noticed that he kind of bitch slaps his opponents? And taking care of some business on the opposite side of the field, but that does make it so that they cover them. Now, what are they going to do? The skink is up here. He has to run down here. he'd have to dodge through all these, so the logical thing is to move this way, which is why it was important the Undead managed to cover this area. So Nurgle's Leftovers still has the whole field covered, and it's heavy in the area where the ball is. The Lizardmen are going to just start trampling the mummy. They're not going to get called out for it. The judges don't even notice. And now they're going to run. Oh, even with the stunty and the dodge ability, he gets knocked out. So the ball carrier loses it, which is more important, and is knocked unconscious. Yeah, and that brings us now to the turn of the Undead. That sounds like a movie. We have Night of the Undead, now it is Turn of the Undead. And they're right next to the ball. It's all up to Goktok of Pahuluxa. The Saurus is the one person there guarding the ball against these ghouls and other things that might have dodge ability. The Undead are slowly ambling up the field. That is a scary sight when you see all that Undead ambling up a football field. And here comes one. He's going to go right next to the ball, protect himself to get it. Oh, and here, he's going to knock him away from the ball, but he doesn't manage to actually tackle him, meaning that Goktok can still protect the ball. Oh, I thought it was going to be a double knockdown there for a second because he saw the skeleton fallen. And, okay, there we go. They're having to use up another reroll. Oh, what kind of attack was that? It's like he just pulled his arms away. But wait a second, what happened? There was you still had one of the ghouls. It looks like Nurgle's Leftovers forgot to play their important player. All he had to do was go here, pick up the ball, and run for it, and he has dodge. He apparently forgot to run that. And now Hodel is going to get up and knock him down. It is a double knockdown, but he did the important thing. He took down the ghoul from being able to pick up that ball. That ghoul could have won the game. He could have picked it up and gone in, but because he forgot about him, he ended up getting knocked down in a double takedown. Oh, and there's the two skulls, and we wind up with with the last reroll from Nurgle's Leftovers. That's going to knock the ball protector onto the ball itself, go right into the hands of the ghoul. Oh, and now he's got it. Looks like Nurgle's Leftovers is going to go in. Oh, right at the end zone. He drops, he slips, and falls. That was going to be a touchdown on the part of Nurgle's Leftovers, but right at the end zone, he slips and falls. What a dramatic play. They only have one turn left. Well, the Seattle Slither will have two, but the Nurgle's Leftover will only have one to go and get it, and so Seattle Slither has to go and get that ball and protect it at all costs. You're going to start with the big one biting off the head of one of the skeletons, and they go and pick it up. The Otschix, which sounds like a dirty word, has the ball. The skink has the ball. He's on his way. He's going to go and put another one there to protect him. They actually might be able to protect it. I mean, they have no chance of getting a touch themselves, but they have a chance of protecting it, thus protecting their lead and thus winning one of their games. And they continue to knock down some of them. This is not important, though. It all comes down to this. Can this ghoul get this ball back? It goes, it's an equal thing because he had two skinks, and he only knocks him back. He does not take the ball out of him unless he has someone with strip. It is done. These Seattle Slithers are actually going to come out of this with a victory. I've been saying earlier that they lost every game. I didn't mean that. Actually, that was incorrect. They have not lost all of them, but they've just never won a game. So they've gotten ties. And now they're going to go and surround this skink, but unless somebody... Actually, they can't go in because there was only one blitz action. That was their one blitz action. Nobody else can get him. All they can do is surround him, and that's it. And then Seattle Slither, all they have to do is just say, end game, and they have won this game. And go for some revenge from the mummy. Tom Cruise goes in for an attack, bitch slaps him. Says, you should join Scientology. And, alright, one of the skeletons is going to amble over. And there you go. That was their last turn. Seattle Slither don't really have to do anything unless they just want to get revenge. They're going to go up here after at the ghoul. Going to get a double knockdown. Corpse Slicer is knocked out, so he just goes in for revenge, knocks him out, and stunned himself. But I think we're all stunned because Seattle Slither have now won. That is a turnover. That is going to end that turn and the game. Let's go back into that. I don't know why this is doing this. Nurgle's leftovers. Alright, let's look at these statistics. There you go. There were all of our statistics. This was unbelievable. Nurgle's leftovers only had the ball for 6% of the game. 6% during their own half. That was the only time that they actually had it. And then 1 casualty sustained, 1 death sustained. That is their 1 player is gone. So they not only lost this game, but they lost one of their mummies, which is an expensive loss. Let's look at the SPPs. Hoe of Despair got 5. Itsuja had 3. And so Nurgle's leftovers, even though they lost the game, they got 1 more in terms of their points, their experience points. And here were their dice rolls for any of you who want to see that. Well, and there you go, 0 to 1. Your most valuable players were Tom Vigor, of the zombie of the Nurgle's leftovers. I really didn't see him doing that much. I think it would be that skeleton with the block ability, but oh well. And Hoe of Despair makes some sense. However, I would still give it to one of those skinks. This was really a skink game. They were able to dodge a lot, and they were able to pick up that ball and move. And now, of course, they did keep slipping and missing, dropping the ball and stuff like that. But with those rerolls, they got it. So there you go. 0 to 1. Nurgle's leftovers versus Seattle Slither. Seattle Slither won this game. It was their first victory. Congratulations to its coach and to all of those players. Thank you all for watching. We are on the last round of these games, and so we only have a couple more left. Keep on watching. Be sure to subscribe, and happy gaming, everybody.